sources say Smith himself is headed for plastic surgery after suffering a fractured jaw. The incident unfolded earlier this evening during an altercation between the two men.
Welcome back to another edition of Dave Smith Unleashed, and make sure that you go to the website at the Dave Smith Unleashed podcast and like, comment, and subscribe. And we appreciate all the new subscribers we're getting. And follow me on X or /Twitter at Dave Sports Guide. I'm always talking about when the next show is going to be, what day it's going to be on, and who the guests are going to be. So follow us on the YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and always listen in to Dave Smith Unleashed. What a pleasure today. We're talking National Football League, and not only was this your ordinary guest, a former All-American tight end at the University of Florida, a long-time NFL player in the broadcast industry now, of course, and we always love having him on as a guest. It's the great Ben Troupe. What's up, Ben?
Hey, Dave, I finally made it to the big time for real, sir. I go from being on the air with you to being on your podcast with you, Dave Smith Unleashed. Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe.
This must be the biggest thrill of your life. Better than being All-American, better than playing in the National Football League. You've reached the zenith now, Ben Troupe.
I have, and I think the thing about it is the hardest thing for any former player is to transition from the game until what their next career is going to be. I think the booth is going to be something I'm going to be a part of, or the media, as long as I can be. I always appreciate you sharing your platforms with me, sir.
Before we get to the National Football League, let's recap the college semifinals. And you know I'm a University of Oregon guy, Ben, and of course wanted them to win. But you got to give credit to Indiana, 56-22. And it'd be easy to say fire Dan Lanning, and Dante Moore didn't play well and he should come back to school. But one time, when I was playing high school basketball, Ben, we were warming up before a game, and I looked down at the other end, and the other team had all kinds of all-city and all-CIF players. There was almost no chance we were going to win. And my dad was sitting there right behind the bench. I said, Dad, what are we going to do? And he said, son, sometimes you just got to take your whipping. Go out there and take your whipping. That's what I think with Oregon, Ben. You can make all kinds of excuses here, but they beat us in Autzen. They beat us again. They're just a better team. I guess you just got to take your whipping and move on. I'd love to make excuses, but Indiana's just better than Oregon. Dave Smith Unleashed, brought to you by MTS Transportations. And mention the Dave Smith Unleashed podcast and get 20% off on your next shipment for all your shipping, trucking, and freight needs. There's only one business to call, and that's MTS Transportations at 800-640-6873. MTS Transportations, 800-640-6873.
Steve Kim's nose is broken due to Dave's heavy hands, and boy, he's still got it. All over a top 10 boxing list, really?
Still got it, top 10!
Yeah, that's a part of it. But you're talking about young men versus grown men. I mean, the average age of the Indiana Hoosiers is 23 years old. 23 years old. I was in my second year in the NFL, and you talk about 23 to 25 years old. Indiana got the best. They got the oldest players and the best team money can buy. I am not mad at them for taking full advantage of NIL, but without NIL, not only would Indiana not even be on the college football map, they would be nowhere near the college football playoff. And I'm with you. I don't like the fire Dan Lanning. What Dan Lanning has done since he's been in Oregon, we talk about Bo Nix, you talk about Dylan Gabriel, we talk about Dante Moore and what those guys are doing now. You didn't come up against a juggernaut. You came up against a grown man-laden team. That is a NFL caliber, I'm talking about age, team over there with Indiana. And Coach Cincinnati knows, look, this is the only way we got a shot. Obviously, I listened to Jonathan Stewart and George Ricer, a guy that played in the NFL at tight end when I was there, and they were saying the same things. Like, look, most people who got a lot to say are teams that either one of your teams wasn't good enough to even make a bowl game, let alone the college football playoff, and you just mad. Yes, no one wants to lose in the college football playoff, but Dan Lanning is building a consistent winner. He's building a dominant winner, and like I said, most teams don't lose against most teams in college. You got guys in college that are 18, 19, going up against 23. That's the average age, to 24, 25, maybe some 26-year-olds. Those are grown men out there, and it shows as the game goes on. I do think Oregon is trending in the right direction. I just think that Indiana knows this might be the only way they're going to have a shot even now or moving forward. Some of these guys are trending 3 or 4 times. The coach Cincinnati, he knew about them. He's taking advantage of them now. They better find a way to win this national championship, because if they don't, those same boosters that's giving that money gonna be like, well, dude, I thought you said we had every shot of winning. Yeah, well, we'll see. But yeah, I like what Dan Lannigan's building. I like Kurt Signetti, but he knows this is a basketball school, man. The only way basketball schools wins national championships, we got to go deep into the boosters' pockets.
Signetti's completely changed the game, hasn't he? He's done it through the transfer portal. He's done it through NIL, and I guess unless the rules change, Ben, this is the wave of the future. The days of the five-star high school recruit and bringing them in and developing them seem to be a thing of the past now. And, you can miss with high school seniors. Sometimes they look like great players and they don't work out and they kind of bust. But when you go through the transfer portal, you're looking at guys who've already played, 2, 3, 4 years of college football. You know what you're getting, and they're grown men. So this is probably the way it's going to be from now on.
It is. It's like a person fresh out of high school trying to get a job compared to a person that's been in the workforce for 4 years. The person with 4 years of workforce experience, they're gonna get more of a consideration, because they want somebody that's already been in the system. And that's what a lot of college football is. Let me get guys that's been in multiple systems. Let me get guys that has a college ready body, has a college ready mind. They just want to find a way to play. We throw a couple of dollars at them. I mean, the whole situation with the young man out there in Washington. I mean, I knew that young man was coming back because they told him, I don't care what your mommy and daddy say. We have these things called lawyers, litigation, and we're going to take you to court, and we're going to bleed you dry every $1 million we gave you unless you come back, which he decided to come back. It's going to be the wild, wild west, but we still talk about the powers that be. So the Oregons, the Floridas, the Georgias, the Ohio States of the world are going to benefit. And for the JMUs and the Tulanes, they're going to be good enough to win their conference, but they're only going to get dominated when they get in the college football playoff. Indiana is changing the game, but they better win it, because the only way people are going to respect it if you the last team standing, which I know Fernando Mendoza is from Miami, and I know you're going up against Miami, which is I know somewhere whoever make belts is trying their best to get it to Michael Irvin as quickly as possible, because he gonna be pulling his belt off. But I'm a fan of it. I just think that you are gonna have to have some level of guardrails on it, because I think these young men is fool's gold, Dave. I mean, yes, you could jump in the portal, and yes, we could promise that we're gonna give you the money, but who's to say that money is gonna be there once you hit the portal? So if you're a quarterback, you could buy guarantee it. If you're not a quarterback, you might go in the portal. You better learn how to tread water, because you may never come out of there.
Fernando Mendoza's a great story. He's from Miami. He grew up 5 minutes away from the Miami campus. He said he used to ride his bike there and play with his friends and play in pickup basketball games in the Miami gym. He desperately wanted to play there. That's back when Manny Diaz was the coach, and they didn't recruit him. They said they didn't want him. He went to Manny Diaz and said, can I come out and try out as a walk-on? I want to play here. And Manny said, no, don't even do that. We got no room for you here. Boy, there's a great talent evaluator, huh? Then he goes on and wins the national championship and a Heisman Trophy, and maybe a national championship and a Heisman Trophy at Indiana. So knowing all that, Ben, who do you like in that Indiana-Miami game in the final? Now, Indiana's favored, I think, by a touchdown here, and most people think they're going to win, but Miami has a really good defense.
Yeah, that Miami defense is going to keep Miami in the game. Fernando Mendoza and the way they play the way they play offense, the way they play football in general. I think the X factor in this game is going to be the offensive line coach. For Indiana, back when Monty Ball was at Wisconsin, when he was breaking all those records, scoring all those touchdowns, that was his offensive line coach. And one thing about Indiana, they're going to keep it honest. They're not going to do a lot of fluff. They're going to run the ball. They're going to get one-on-one with their receivers, and they're going to blitz you like crazy on defense. They take a bunch. If you are Indiana, they play football like, look, what do we have to lose? We're a freaking basketball school. We're not supposed to be here. I mean, our freaking quarterback is Cuban. People were pissed that he was speaking Spanish at his, acceptance speech for the Heisman. He was talking to his grandparents. It's like Fernando Mendoza looks like Buzz Lightyear. No, he looks like Buddy. He looks like Woody off of Toy Story. He's gonna say all the right things, do all the right things. Indiana is gonna, for 1 year at least, Dave, they're going to reshape college football in a way that we've never seen. Do I think they're going to be the trend moving forward? No, because guys ain't staying in college till they're 23, 24, 25 years old. But I like Indiana because they played Ohio State. They played your Oregon Ducks twice. They played Penn State, to the brink. They ran Alabama off the freaking field that nobody really wants to talk about. I think they're just more battle tested than Miami. Nothing against Miami and what they've done. I mean, I respect what Coach Cristobal is doing, and Carson Beck's situation seems to be working out, but they ain't been battle tested like Indiana has. Indiana looked at Ohio State, they looked Oregon twice, Penn State and Alabama in the face and said, look, man, this is who we are. I do think it's going to be a thriller. I hope it's a thriller, but I do got the Indiana Hoosiers, of all people, winning the college football national championship in football.
Well, this is going to really sting. If you're Mario Cristobal, he played on the same high school team with Fernando's father. They were both offensive linemen. And to think that Cristobal, before he got there, they didn't recruit this kid. He's from Miami. He's a Heisman winner. He's going to be the first pick in the NFL draft. He played with his father, and the previous coach didn't recruit him. Now, if he comes out and throws it all over the field and they blow Miami out, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for Mario Cristobal.
It will, and it should. I think sometimes about these college coaches, I always question the evaluation part, because I think a lot of it is rooted in the eye test. A lot of it is rooted in how you feel about a kid and does he translate. Well, here's the thing about Miami. Miami ain't won a national championship since 2001. I know they got the great tradition, but them 30 for 30, videos, whatever. We talking about 2001 and before that. We talking about Michael Irvin and Warren Sapp. We're not talking about, Cam Ward. We're not talking about, and I had to play against the 2000, 2002, and 2003 Miami Hurricanes. If they don't win, that's what people ain't talking about. How far does it set them back? Because Miami's best quarterbacks were not on campus. Cam Ward was at Wazoo. You talk about Carson Beck. He was at Georgia. So I don't know why you told a guy that was right there in your backyard he don't fit the description. Well, nobody has for like 20-something years. And if Miami loses, not only do they lose the national championship, that will be over 20 years they've been in the ACC and never won it. So I know that sideline is going to be star-studded with Edgerrin James and Jeremy Shockey, and you talking about Michael Irvin and Clinton Portis and all these guys, but they're going to have a front row seat to see a team from Indiana hoist up that trophy, because I just think Indiana understands the situation. They know, look, we might not have another window outside of this year to get back, because I think the secret is out about us, and I think people are going to be pouring more money into their programs to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Let's talk some National Football League. Ben Troupe, you being the longtime National Football League tight end after a great All-American career at the University of Florida. We got some interesting games coming up. We got the semifinals of the American and the National Football Conference. How about the Broncos are the number one seed, Ben Troupe? They're untested in playoff competition. Young Bo Nix. I know they're at home and I know they're favored, but this Bills team has been to the AFC Championship game 4 years in a row, and they pulled off the upset over the Jacksonville Jaguars last weekend on Wild Card Weekend. I'm kind of leaning toward the Bills here, even though it's on the road against Denver. I don't know if Denver's ready yet or battle-tested enough yet.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. That Denver defense is very, very stingy with Patrick Surtain and company. They don't give up a lot. I think the thing about Josh Allen, the reason why Josh Allen is so highly respected in the National Football League for how much he means to his team, he has to play well. He can't play okay. He can't have a all right game. He has to go out there and be superhuman. Now, I don't think that 4-for-1 should have went that far, Jacksonville. You probably should have tackled him and not let him, go into the end zone. But I just think that Bo Nix is going to make it very interesting, him and Cortland Sutton in that running game, and Sean Payton. But Sean McDermott better know, hey, man, Mike Tomlin just lost again in the first round of the playoffs. No Patrick Mahomes, right? You're talking about no Jalen Hurts, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. If Bo Nix push you out of the playoffs, I'm not saying Sean McDermott is going to get fired, but I didn't think that Harbaugh was going to get fired either. And they let him go. So I just think for Sean McDermott and Buffalo, all the pressure is on them. Bo Nix is not getting talked about for what he's meant, not just his first 2 years, but what he's meant to this Denver team. I mean, everybody thought that Sean Payton couldn't coach anymore because of Russell Wilson. And Bo Nix comes in and goes, that's not true. You just had the wrong guy, under center. It's going to be a thrilling game. The key factor to me is a guy that's kind of been iffy his first 2 years, and that's Keon Coleman. Gabe Davis got hurt last week. He's not going to be playing, which means Keon Coleman is going to have to actually earn his playoff check. He's going to have to go out there and play big-time football. I know you got James Cook, and I know you got Josh Allen, and I know you got Greg Rousseau in that defense, but I just think that Denver is going to make it interesting. I got the Bills moving on as well, but playing in Denver, in Mile High, favoring those guys up there wearing orange and blue, those guys coming from Buffalo, I know they're going to have a bunch of fans in the stands. Josh Allen's going to have to pull out his best right now because I do think it's going to be, the rematch of Drake May potentially versus Buffalo for, to go to the Super Bowl with how those guys are playing. But I do like Buffalo to move forward, even though I do think that scrappy Denver team is going to make it very, very interesting.
And the Bills, they beat Jacksonville on the road on Wild Card Weekend, and Jacksonville's offense didn't really do all that much. They've been rolling everybody in, 9 straight or whatever it was. But, the playoffs are a whole different story, aren't they, Ben Troupe? You're not going to roll people and go up and down the field in the playoffs the same way you do in the regular season.
You're not. And the thing about the playoffs is it's just a microcosm of who you were in the regular season unless you can overcome it. I mean, if you talk about Jacksonville, the last month of the season, nobody was really playing better at the quarterback position than Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he was playing out of his mind. But the problem is with a guy like Trevor Lawrence, he will convert back to doing certain things that you thought he had gotten over. I mean, Liam Cohen doesn't get enough credit for how well he's coached his first year in Jacksonville. And Jacksonville had the game. I mean, it was a back and forth affair, but then all of a sudden, it's almost like they started. You can't play cautious and expect to win. You can't play prevent defense and think you're going to keep a good offense. I don't know what it is about the last 3 or 4 minutes of an NFL game. The defenses start backing up. Offenses start playing cautious. No, the aggressive team that's willing to be aggressive has the best shot to win. Jacksonville they're going to be scratching their head saying, dude, we had this game. I mean, we had them at home. Josh Allen wasn't really playing, but Josh Allen going to pull a rabbit out of the hat. He's going to put a drive together. And that last drive, I mean, on 4th and 1, I mean, I guess they were trying to let him score. I know he had to do it first and goal, but Jacksonville just laid an egg. And like I said, Jacksonville fans are one to say, hey, you talk about Travis Etienne. Trevor Etienne. Travis Etienne, I think he's earned a contract extension. Liam Cohen is definitely the coach you want to have. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback, but he hasn't really emerged as a superstar yet. He hasn't been in the MVP voting. I mean, Houston still might be the best team in that division, even though Jacksonville won that division, especially with the way they beat up on Pittsburgh last night. I just think that if you are Jacksonville, either this is because you just came up against a better quarterback and a better team and a better coach, or maybe this is just who you are. You're good enough to win enough games to get to the postseason just to be out in the first round when you go up against a better competition.
I'm with you on that prevent defense, man. And as a former National Football League tight end, when Josh Allen's back there and they need a touchdown to win, you go 7 or 8 defensive backs and go prevent. He's going to find somebody. If you have 11 defensive backs in there and don't rush anybody, if he has time, he's going to find somebody. He's going to beat you if he has time to throw. It doesn't matter how many guys you have back on defense.
Yeah, and another way Josh Allen could beat you is with his leg. Josh Allen has the most rushing touchdowns in NFL history. I think he got like 78, 79 touchdowns. He broke Cam Newton's record this year. You cannot play scared and beat good quarterbacks. You got to force them to beat you. You got to blitz them. You got to force them to beat them with your mind, beat them with your legs. But we're gonna rush 4 and drop 7, and we're just gonna sit back. We're gonna lose. And when you lose, you go into the locker room saying, that's the reigning MVP, right? This guy is considered one of the best players, if not the best player in football when he's out there, and we're going to just we're going to hope he makes a mistake. No, force him to make a mistake, or at least go down swinging. I don't want to lose, but I'd rather lose swinging than to go, yeah, man, I mean, I just stood in front of him. I just let him punch me till he got tired. You let him, and he didn't get tired. He's still punching me right now. Nobody don't get him off. And this is the best players in the world play on Sunday. And you got to act like it. I'm never, ever going to blame a coach for what a player controls, but a player sometimes can go to the coach and go, we're not running that. We're not going to run we haven't run prevent all game. Why don't we do it in crunch time? That's not a game plan. That's playing scared. And now, well, at least Jacksonville, you ain't have to go far. You was at home, so you can get in your car, you can drive home, and you can say what could have been, and you can meet all these other teams that's out in the playoffs in Cancun or wherever you gonna go, because this was your best shot. Like, you had Josh Allen, and when you got a great player like that on the ropes, man, you got to put your foot on his neck. You can't give him no sign of life. And now Buffalo is moving on, and I don't care. No one wants to say, well, at least we lost to a team that went to a Super Bowl. No, you lost to a team that you could have beat, and that's going to be the narrative until next season begins.
Well, the great Bill Walsh, for my favorite team, the San Francisco 49ers, he had a couple of great quotes about that. That number one, he used to say the prevents wins when you try that on defense. And number two, he said, I've never seen a quarterback, no matter how great, that could throw a touchdown pass laying on his back. So those are the two things he thought about the prevent defense.
If you listen, I know we ain't got to it yet, but the way that the Houston Texans attacked Aaron Rodgers all night. That's how you play football. To say, look, I don't care what he does. We do what we do. They do what they do, and we do what we do. If a 42-year-old quarterback can beat a bunch of 20-some-year-olds, shame on us and shame on our game plan. But guess what? Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson said, not today, not on our watch. He's not going to beat us. DK Metcalf not going to beat us. And every time you saw Aaron Rodgers, he was either complaining that he got hit or he's complaining because he got to get off the ground. Somebody come help me get off the ground. So I just think that, yes, you're right. Prevent sounds like something that you hope happens. No, football is not about hope. We got to make it happen. That's why they call it making plays. Let's hope we get it done today, fellas. Let's hope that they're not better than us. What type of game plan? No, let's go out there and make it happen. Let's will ourselves to it. It's a matter of skill and will. And somebody else out in this last 2 minutes of the game, regardless of the situation, we're just gonna be a prevent defense. Man, that's Madden. That's not real life.
Okay, so we're both going with the Bills, I think, in an upset over the Denver Broncos. And you just brought up the Texans here. They beat the Steelers last night. Now they're traveling. They're playing New England on the road, and Drake May. The Patriots didn't look great offensively against the Chargers, but they held them to 3 points, which was very, very impressive. So now we got the Patriots at home. Boy, they bounced back fast from the Brady Belichick era. They're 2 wins away from the Super Bowl now with Drake May at quarterback. What do you think of that game? The Texans with their really good defense going up the Patriots, another good defensive team, and then you have C.J. Stroud going up against Drake May.
I think this is the matchup that New England did not want, because I think football to me is just like boxing. It's about matchups. It's about who is in front of you. The one thing that you know with the Houston Texans, they're gonna bring a defense. Like I said, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, Petrie, out of Baylor. You talk about and those guys. They're gonna force Drake May to beat him. But the difference is they're gonna force you to make quicker decisions. And I get it. Drake May is going to, him and Hunter Henry, they had something going. They're going to have that running game going. They're going to have to be willing to deal with a 4-quarter football game. The same way the defense of New England, right, was looking right against the Chargers. That's what Drake May is about to see for 4 quarters. And they are relentless. And I think for C.J. Stroud, just take care of. I don't know what was wrong with C.J. Stroud last night. I mean, with the fumbles and the interceptions, he's not going to be able to play like that. Because it's going to be ugly up there, and once again, they keep on saying that a dome team can't win in the cold. Well, that's not true. As I check, Houston is a dome team. They just won in Pittsburgh, and I agree with you. They did get that culture going in New England. I think Drake May and company find a way to win it, but I don't want to look past what DeMeco Ryans has been for 3 years. I mean, been there for 3 years, won the division for 2 years, still got into the playoff this year. They still moving on. I think Houston might be the most dangerous team left in this playoffs, because they scratched and clawed to get back in this thing with the way Jacksonville played. Are the Houston Texans good enough to go up to New England and get a win? Absolutely. But I just think Drake May and company, they're not going to put Drake May in position to have to win it. They're just going to put him in position to where, as long as you don't lose it for us, we'll go out there and win as a team. I like New England, but I would not be surprised if Houston walked away with that thing.
Yeah, I kind of like New England, too, because of the point you made. I think C.J. Stroud tends to turn it over, and I think that could be the difference in this game between New England and the Texans. But, boy, and you look at you talked about Aaron Rodgers, the way he got knocked around there and the way he couldn't do anything. And how about the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh? They only score 3 points against the Patriots. And I know does he need to blow it up and hire a different offensive coordinator? Maybe hire get a new offensive philosophy there instead of the grinded out stuff with Harbaugh. Is it time maybe to modernize a little bit? Because I just don't know with the offense being the way it is, and Justin Herbert did not play well in that game either.
Yeah, they're gonna have to do something. They're gonna have to make some drastic decisions. I mean, I know that you brought Keenan Allen back so he can break Antonio Gates' record. Well, he's broke his record. Now it's time to move on, because Keenan Allen can catch 150 passes for 1,000 yards. He ain't gonna get much over 1,000 yards because he's a slot receiver. Ladd McClunkey, he fell off the planet this year. I don't know if he was hurt. He did not look like he did as a rookie. I mean, Amarion Hampton, who they got first round, out of North Carolina, he was in and out of the lineup. Justin Herbert is a really, really good quarterback, or he's really, really bad. He don't have an in-between game. And that's the thing. Most quarterbacks don't. Justin Herbert, when he is nice, he's one of the nicest in the league. And when he's not, he's not. And maybe that's the thing, saying, hey, Give me some better weapons. I mean, I'm sorry. No one is afraid of our weapons. I don't got Antonio Gates no more or a guy like that. I don't got a burner on the outside. So I think for a guy like Justin Herbert and Harbaugh needs to come to the 2026 and say, hey, Harbaugh, yeah, that ain't Colin Kaepernick and this ain't San Francisco. You're gonna have to get with the times, or we're gonna have a really, really good regular season and be one and done in the playoffs, and no one's gonna remember. So Derwin James, you can't jump and miss. That's a touchdown. You got to cover people. If you jump, that's no man's land. So I do think they're going to have to get, because Justin Herbert, to me, is too good of a talent to have his talent being wasted because of what you don't want to put around him. Give him a true number 1 receiver, right? Give him a true number 2 receiver. Keenan Allen, you broke the record. Become a coach. It's over. There's no one's afraid of you. And I think with that defense, you got to get younger too. I mean, I just think that when you look at this team as a whole, they're a good team. But when they meet better teams, they get exposed. You score 3 points in the playoffs with that guy at quarterback. That's ridiculous. If that don't scream, we need to make some changes. Nothing else will.
And they're talking about Mike Tomlin maybe not being back next year. John Harbaugh gets fired after his kicker misses a short field goal that would have put him in the playoffs. He's gone, and Mike Vrabel, he took the Titans to the playoffs. He gets fired. Look what he's doing in New England. Is it sometimes, even if you're a good coach, Ben, is it time to move on? You need a fresh start. Maybe you've worn out your welcome. Maybe with the Harbaugh being there 18 years, Tomlin being there 19 years. And remember, Andy Reid did great things with the Eagles, but they parted ways, and look what he did with the Kansas City Chiefs. So do you stick with the coach long term, or is it sometimes best to move on and get a fresh start?
I think they have. I think they have stuck with him. I think listen, 18, 19 years. I think at that point, if this isn't who you are, then maybe I've missed something. Here's the thing about Mike Tomlin. He's never had a losing season. We're talking about the regular season. What about postseason? Oh, we don't want to talk about, because he's won it. He ain't won in a while. The last time he was winning, moving on to the playoffs was when he played against Aaron Rodgers. That's like 2011. So when we get to talking about Mike Tomlin, I think is a great football coach. But postseason, 2 things Mike Tomlin can't do. He can't win in the postseason, and he can't find a quarterback. Since Ben Roethlisberger has left, he has not found a quarterback. The thing about Harbaugh, you won the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, and you can't even make an AFC championship game with Lamar. It's time to move on. You can't make it with a guy that's a 2-time MVP. I think Harbaugh is a good coach, but they was like, look, we want to be able to let you move on and go to a team that's probably like the Giants, or a team like that that's still like a big market. You can use a young quarterback. But yeah, I think if you've given them 18, 19 years, number one, that's a lot of money that the ownership has given you, and that's a lot of games that you've coached and played. And if we don't know who you are by now, we don't really understand football. Harbaugh is a great coach as well. He got a Super Bowl under his belt. Tomlin is a great football coach. He got a Super Bowl under his belt, but they ain't won in a while. And you got one has a tradition of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the other one had Lamar Jackson, and neither one of them are in the playoffs right now. I don't know if Mike Tomlin's going to move on. Because, the thing about them Rooney's, they don't pick coaches often, but they're going to have to make a decision because they hope that the guy they pick after Tomlin is going to have like an 18, 19, 20-year run like Coach Cowher, in a company that's been before him. So we'll see, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pittsburgh move on, only because we've seen this move before, right? They find a way to win the division, sneak into the playoffs. It doesn't have a losing season, and they lose in the playoffs by double digits. That's kind of been the story the last 5 years.
I think it's been 9 years since Tomlin won a playoff game. You're kind of in, like, when you're winning 9 or 10 games every year and going out in the first round, you're kind of in no man's land, aren't you, Ben? Because you're going to go out, you win 9, 10 games, then you don't get a high draft choice. Do you need to crash and burn and have like a 2 or 3 win season to really turn things around and get a superstar in the draft? Because you're kind of in no man's land when you're always drafted in the middle.
You are, and you accept the mediocrity even if you're winning. Like, you're accepting it because Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. What does that even mean? So he gets to the postseason and loses? Because the goal is to win the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, we're in the business of winning consistently, making the playoffs to win it all. No one walks around with the weird number 2 shirt on. No, you want to win the whole thing. Like I said, Mike Tomlin has outworn his welcome with everybody but the Rooneys. The Pittsburgh, the Steelers Nation, they sick of it because they're like, dude, we know what's going to happen. Jalen Ramsey played safety, and no one remembers Jalen Ramsey last night. Jalen Ramsey is no longer a cornerback, and he's walking around talking trash, getting blocked 20 yards down the field. T.J. Watt makes a bunch of money. He's recently out of the hospital. Cam Hayward, he's still an all-pro, defensive tackle. Joel Porter Jr. plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. DK Metcalf needs therapy. No one cares. Pittsburgh is a mess. They're doing everything but winning playoff games. And the last time we saw y'all got blown off the field. They scored that many points in the fourth quarter. How do you score that many points in the fourth when the defense? And that's another thing too. The defense is kind of getting, man. I know that Joe Hayden and James Harrison have a podcast. And when I tell you need to look at it, Dave, they be talking so much trash about everybody, including Mike Tomlin. I know Ryan Clark has an incredible podcast with Shannon Crowder and Fred Taylor, and they have him on there every year. If you can't look at Mike Tomlin as his friend, as a former player of his, to say, Mike, I love you, yeah, it's time. It's time to move on, man, because at a certain point, you're a good coach. You're a great coach, but you're a great coach based off what you've done, not what you're doing. Because we ain't seen you lately. The last time you was winning playoff games, right? There was no NIL. There was no transfer portal. Nick Saban was still in coaching. Ben Roethlisberger was your quarterback. Jerome Bettis was somewhere around here thinking he could play. It's been too long. I think it's time to move on. But the question of the day, Dave, is always, who do you replace him with?
The great Ben Troupe, the former Florida All-American tight end, the longtime National Football League player, and you can hear what a great interview here, full of information, which is why he's in the broadcast business as we speak. So we like the Patriots close. I think we both agree on the Bills. All right, let's get to the NFC games coming up here in the playoffs. The 49ers pull off the upset against the Philadelphia Eagles. My 49ers, Ben, and now they're going to the number 1 seed on the road to the Seattle Seahawks. I think this is the third time they played them in maybe 5 weeks. So 49ers going to Seattle after a great win over the Eagles.
The word payback comes to mind because San Francisco, look, we let one get away. We know y'all won the NFC, West. Y'all also got the best record in the NFC. They going in with no George Kittle, right? I get it. I've seen the videos of Fred Warner, trying to come back. The best player in football that do not play quarterback is Christian McCaffrey, and it is not close. Christian McCaffrey's so good at football that it is embarrassing. That last touchdown he had against Nakobe Dean, what is Nakobe Dean gonna do? You run an angle route from the same side of the field you're on. He was on the right side. He came across the formation, and he still ran an angle route. Nakobe Dean was like, what was that? Did you just, yeah, we saw it, and he scored. And obviously, Juwan Jennings threw the touchdown pass to him. Kyle Shanahan has done his best coaching job in 2025. 2024 prepared him for 2025, Dave, because with so many injuries in 2024, you didn't think it was going to happen again in 2025, and it did. But at least they're still moving on to playoffs. You know what's crazy? Seattle is different at home. Right, I respect what Coach McDonald is doing. I see what Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Nigma. I think he's the runaway offensive player of the year this year. But I think San Francisco is gonna go to Seattle, and they're gonna look them in the face and go, "We know y'all. We see y'all twice a year. We know we got to do with Jackson Smith. We don't know if Sam Darnold is as good as people think he is. We're gonna see if we can make him see ghosts." I got your San Francisco 49ers coming out with the biggest upset in the freaking playoffs. I got them moving on. I like what Seattle has done, but San Francisco knows them. They're like, dude, y'all ain't got no new tricks. We know what y'all. Now that defense for Seattle is different with Ernest Jones and and those guys and our Big Cat and those guys. But I just like what San Francisco. You're down with double-digit starters, and you go into Philly and win. If you could beat Philly in the NFC, nothing against the Bears. Sure, you could beat anybody in the NFC. You could beat anybody. I like your 49ers.
I'm with you. I like the 49ers in this game as well. I don't trust Sam Darnold, man. I want to know what you think about this. Remember, he had a great year with Minnesota last year, but the last 2 games, he threw up all over himself, and he tends to turn it over and make a lot of mistakes in big games like this. I just don't trust him in this playoff game, so I think he's going to turn it over, and I'm with you. I think the 49ers are going to win this game.
I don't trust Sam Darnold either, because here's the thing. Every time Sam Darnold has been good, look at the team around him. The team around him has been really, really good, especially on offense. I mean, he had a really, really good year in Minnesota where you had Jordan Addison, you had Justin Jefferson, Right? You had some really, really good players, Hawkinson, those guys to throw to, and you had a big-time defense. Well, now you got Jackson Smith, right? You got Kenneth Walker, and you got a big-time defense. Well, let me tell you what San Francisco know. Now, Sam, we remember when you was out there with us. We know who you really are, Sam, and we get it that they cannot – listen, you can hide in the regular season because you got week 2 and week 3 and week 4. You can't hide now. You can't run either. And here's the thing about San Francisco. They're going to find a way to get to him. That pass rush for the 49ers, they ain't got Nick Bosa, and they still getting to the QB. That's coaching. Yes, man. Robert Seelah is one of the – he's probably the best defense. The 3 best defensive coordinators in the league is Robert Seelah. Obviously, you got Brian Flores with Minnesota, and you got the defensive coordinator for Detroit. I would put Robert Seelah right there at the top because he knows how to manufacture defense, and he knows Sam. He's going to say, Sam, I am. Guess what? Listen, we know that everybody think you the best thing since sliced bread. You supposed to be a franchise quarterback for the Jets. You done been to a bunch of teams since then, and we think you more of the Jets than what you are now. We just got to prove it. If Fred Warner plays, I think it'd be crazy. It's going to be hard to get him out there. If George Kittle don't play, that's going to be hard to replace him. But Brock Purdy is earning every single dollar. If Brock Purdy takes care of the football and he don't try to do too much, because I know that defense from Seattle is stingy, I got your 49ers, man, because like I said, Brock Purdy said, look, I know I'm Mr. Irrelevant. I know he was the 3rd overall pick. I think I'm better than him. I'm not going to say it to his face. I'm not going to say it to the media, but I'm Mr. Irrelevant. I'm moving on. He's number 3 overall pick, and he's been on what? 4 or 5 teams. I've been on 1 team. I like your 49ers. I think it's going to be a thriller, but I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to realize, hey, I know you guys are building a nice culture under Coach McDonald, but you still going to have to earn it the hard way. The class and the best culture in the NFC West is your 49ers.
Now, Ben, as a former receiver, I want to get your thoughts on this. That double reverse trick play, flea flicker pass where Juwan Jennings threw a touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey. You know what? A lot of teams need quarterbacks in the NFL, Ben. I can't tell you how impressed I was with that throw. He's a wide receiver. He gets the ball on the double reverse. They had a defender bearing right down on him. As he threw, he got blown up. The guy was right in his face, knocked him about 10 yards back, and that ball was out in front on the fingertips of the receiver. He looked like a starting NFL quarterback there. What a great throw that was.
What a great throw, what a great call, but what made the entire play is Christian McCaffrey. He put so much pressure on the defense. Blankenship, the freaking safety, he's right there, but he's a no man's land. He's like, wait a minute. I see Juwan Jennings, but I see Christian McCaffrey, and they made it so that he was the only guy on that side. That was a fingertip catch. I think, number one, that puts a lot, of confidence in a guy like Juwan Jennings, who's done that before, by the way. And the thing about Juwan and C-Mac said, listen, you just put it in my general vicinity and I got you. What? Don't worry about. Just give me something to catch and I'll run up under it. And the thing, if it was anybody other than Christian McCaffrey, you would go, oh man, I didn't know he was gonna get. Christian McCaffrey can do anything. I mean, this dude usage rate is crazy when I looked at how many rushes and how many catches and times he's been on the field. But yeah, it was a great call. And to me, that's football. Football it's only a trick play when it don't work. It's a great play when it does, and that's a great play. You got to know when to call it. We ain't shown it all year. They couldn't even game plan for it, and it worked. Now, Nick Sirianni is trying to decide, do I keep A.J. Brown, who was the real Saquon Barkley, and how many of these defenders can I keep with a guy like Jalen Hurts saying, hey, man, they had a really, really good game plan, and the banged-up San Francisco 49ers who lost George Kittle in the first quarter, and no Fred Warner and no they're moving on with no Ricky Pearsall, no Brandon Ayuk. This is crazy for them to even still be in the playoffs with all the starters they don't have at their disposal.
You made a great point, Ben, about the trick play. You saw Houston last night tried the flea flicker and turned it over, and it was just a disaster, blew up right in their face. You got to set that defense up and do it at the right time. And that double reverse in the throw to McCaffrey, they called that trick just at the right time. They knew when to call it. They hadn't shown it all year. And you can't just call a trick play like that in a flea flicker. You got to set it up and set that defense up.
Yeah, and that's what they do. And the thing about Christian McCaffrey, he's all over the formation. He does so much and means so much to that offense that his line, where he lines up in the formation doesn't give it away. It's not like they're going, wait, why is he standing? He's everywhere in that offense. And like I said, Blankenship actually played it right, but he was like, wait a minute. Like, is anybody behind me? No, that would be C-Mac in the end zone. The next thing you know, it was a great call. Kyle Shanahan is a masterful offensive play caller. Like, everybody knows that from his time in Atlanta to even his time here. I think for your 49ers to do what they continue to do, you're going to have to continue to feature Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey, I don't know if he had to take an IV, take a Toradol shot, drink some, drink. I mean, he said, wait, I need some water. I need some Gatorade. I need a beer. Jesus. Because he's everything. And I don't know how many more years Christian McCaffrey is going to be in the NFL, not because he's not a good player, but his usage rate. Because when you see him in person, he's not a big dude, but he can do it all out there. And I'm looking forward to the game. Like I said, I just think that if you are Seattle, they say all you got to do is stop 23. Yeah, that's what everyone says, but you can't. All you got to do is stop him. Try to contain him at best. And if they can do it as a group effort and Brock Purdy don't turn the ball over, like I said, I like your 49ers moving forward. And I think that makes them one of the most dangerous teams in the NFC Championship game, no matter who they play.
You know the way it is in Philadelphia, Ben Troupe. They were ready to fire Nick Sirianni last year when they got off to a slow start. Then they caught fire, went through the playoffs, and they won the Super Bowl. But now they're out in the first round here. Do you think he could be on the hot seat even though he won the Super Bowl last year?
Yeah, he could be on the hot seat because they don't know if it's the team or if it's him. Because the thing about it is Jalen Hurts is a quarterback you latch your, saddles to say, hey, man, we gonna ride with this dude. Where their regular season was bad. Everybody keeps saying, well, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, they both had 1,000-yard receiving. Yeah, they had 1,007 yards and 1,008 yards. You average 59 yards a game. That's 1,000 yards in a 17-game season. No, that's not good enough. And Saquon Barkley was not going to have the season he had. Nick Sirianni running down the sideline, being all demonstrative and telling A.J. Brown to get off the field. I do. And then in the post-game press conference saying, we love each other. No, you love him. He never said he loved you. You can't say we love each other. That's like a marriage. I mean, I think my wife loves me, but I ain't going to ask her. I ain't going to ask her in front of people either. So I'm just saying, I think that when you think about this Eagles team, Sirianni, he's a good coach. I don't think nobody puts Sirianni in the great category. He's a good coach because he's won a Super Bowl, but people saying, yeah, but was it a fluke because you had a 2,000-yard rusher, you had A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, everybody was clicking. Now, Jordan Davis had a better year defensively than Jalen Carter, and Jalen Carter got voted to the Pro Bowl, which lets you know people ain't really watching the games. They're going off of popularity. When it comes to Sirianni, yes, he got an extension. Yes, he's a good coach. But you won a Super Bowl and lost a Super Bowl when people thought you was going back-to-back. You lost to San Francisco when most of their starters was out and all your starters was healthy. Yeah, they're not going to fire him because it's too late in the season. Howie Roseman is probably the best general manager in the National Football League, but they're going to have to make some drastic changes. And the one thing they don't want to talk about the most is the quarterback position. And I think A.J. Brown has played his last down as an Eagle. I don't think he'll be back.
The great Ben Troupe, the former Florida All-American tight end, the longtime National Football League player in the broadcast industry now. Great guest here on Dave Smith Unleashed. Well, Ben, this is getting boring. We've agreed on the first three games. We both like the Bills. We both like the Patriots. And we both like the 49ers pulling off the upset here. So let's get to the final playoff game this weekend. Well, the Bears, you talk about a horseshoe in your butt, as they talk about with the Bears. They keep pulling out game. It's been happening all year long where they don't play well, and Caleb Williams catches fire in the fourth quarter, and the Bears find a way to win. And now, in the freezing cold weather, they're going to be hosting the Rams. And, Ben, they were lucky to beat the Carolina Panthers last week on Wild Card Weekend. So who do you like in this Bears-Ram game? Caleb Williams and going up against Matthew Stafford?
You got to battle for my number one overall picks, but I'm gonna go with the old guy. I'm gonna go with Matthew Stafford. Here's why. The thing about Chicago is this: they're a real good team. Ben Johnson's done an incredible job, right? But Green Bay is a team that you are familiar with, and Green Bay just laid an egg. You allow this Rams team who just, like you mentioned, got pushed to the brink with Bryce Young. I don't know what it is about these former number one overall picks facing off each other in the playoffs. I know there's a West Coast team doesn't go to frigid temperatures and win, just like hot teams don't go to frigid temperatures and win. But Matthew Stafford is different. Matthew Stafford is saying, look, everybody wants to talk about, Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson and what they're doing. Everybody wants to talk about, what Coach McDonald has done with Seattle. But guess what? Puka Nacua might be the best receiver in football, and when he is at his best, you can't do nothing with him. Devontae Adams, he only makes his noise when you get to the end zone. I think that Sean McVay is doing a really, really good job. It's going to be hard to move the ball against the Chicago defense that's playing really, really well, But nobody on that offense, when it comes to Caleb Williams, I know Rome Aduze, I know you got C.J. Moore, Colston Loveland is looking like a really, really good pick, right now. I just think that Matthew Stafford knows in order for us to be respected, in order for us to get to what we're trying to get, we got to do it in frigid situations. We got to do it in uncomfortable situations. Love what Ben Johnson's doing. Love what Caleb Williams is doing. I do not know what color his fingernails are going to be. I just know they will not be the natural color. I don't know what color they're going to be, and that's fine. Give me Matthew Stafford and company to move on, because if you play tight end in college, you want to go to the Rams. They got 4 tight ends that they will deploy on you, and that catch that tight end made on the side, I'm like, he got his feet in. Give me the Rams to move on. I just think they've been here longer. They got more playoff experience. They just got to deal with the frigid temperatures, which I think they'll be able to do. I think the Rams move on.
The week before, the Bears were down 16-0 in the fourth quarter to the Washington Commanders, and Caleb leads them back, and they had to recover an onside kick, to get that last touchdown and then win the game in the last second. Why do they keep starting out so slow every week and have to have these fourth quarter rallies? Should they go to a hurry up offense for 4 quarters and get to it sooner? Because it seems like when they're behind and they're up against it, they start moving the ball up and down the field and they start scoring.
Yeah, but they try to be conservative. I mean, I understand when you on offense, you got to take what the defense gives you, but you also got to kind of dictate terms when you out there on offense. I mean, offensive means you're disrespectful. That means I come at people. There's a reason why we're going forward, and the defense is trying to push us back. Ben Johnson understands his team. He understands Caleb Williams. That 4th down throw that he had was incredible. You're not going to beat teams that are usual suspects. The Green Bay Packers are a good team, but Jordan Love is still trying to get his footing. I mean, just like when Aaron Rodgers came to the league, I know he's been starting now for about 3 or 4 years, but he hadn't played football for about 3 or 4 when he first got drafted because Aaron Rodgers was there. And you understand this Green Bay team because you play them in your division. You're not going to get that luxury with Sean McVay. Sean McVay is going to try to be aggressive. He's going to try to force you into a situation where to be something that you're not. And if he can do that, this could be a long day for Chicago. Chicago fans are very, 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 very lucky because they thought that 21-3, most teams, they're going to put you away. If you are coaching for, you think they'll say, well, how did we lose this game? We was like 21-3 and we lost. Well, it's called choking. I mean, we have a term for it. You choked, it happened, you lost. You won't get that with getting Matthew, because Matthew Stafford is trying to do 2 things. He want to be a regular season MVP, even though Drake may have something to say, and he want to be a Super Bowl MVP because he's won a Super Bowl, but Cooper Kupp was MVP. Like I said, I think Chicago is not going to go quietly into the night because they're a really, really good coach football team on offense and defense. But I just think that the one thing quarterbacks don't say out loud that I know they believe in their mind and in their heart, Dave, is Matthew Stafford look across and say, he said, I like Caleb Williams. He ain't better than me. I don't care how old I am, and I don't care how young he is. I don't care what color his fingernails are. He is not better than me. And I respect that. It's like this. We're in the media industry. The reason why I say I could be in the media industry, Dave, is for people like yourself. I said, look, I don't need validation, but when I get to come on with people like Dave that's been in the industry longer than me, I got to be able to put myself with the best to consider myself the best. Well, football is no different. I want to be out there with the best. And the younger they are, the more I want to beat them. Because the last time Tom Brady was in the Super Bowl, he went up against a guy that everybody thought was going to replace him. That's Patrick Mahomes. Who won that? That was Tom Brady. So even at his age and stage, he said, I'm still better than these dudes. I respect every basketball player that's younger than LeBron James at a certain point went to LeBron James basketball camp. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, you name them, they win. And LeBron is saying, I might not be the best, but they ain't better than me. That's sports, and that's why I watch. I think it's going to be a thriller. Puka Nacua, I did not see that young man being that good coming out of BYU, but I think it's going to be if they can handle the cold. Jared Verse, the second-year defensive end for the Rams, he don't like nobody, and he will talk. He will tell you, I will slap you in your face when I see you and slap you. That's how he is. That's who he is, and I think that's the mentality they're going to have if they want to indeed pull the upset in Chicago.
After the game in the locker room, Ben Johnson around his players said, F the Packers. F the Packers, and it was on camera, and it was controversial. Then he had a couple of days to think about it. Then they asked him about it in the press conference. I think most coaches would have backed off a little bit. He said, no, I don't take it back. I hate the Packers. I'd say it again. So as a player, do you love that in your head, coach?
I love it because that's how we feel, right? That's how we feel. Here's the thing. I mean, at a certain point, somebody will come to you, Dave, and say, Dave, how do you feel about Oregon State? Who? Oregon State. That's a real team? No. That's not a real team to me. No, sometimes respect is me telling you how I feel about you to your face. F you. And I mean that respectfully. And the thing about it is, that's how he always felt. He chose. You cannot be a Chicago head coach and like Green Bay. You can't like nothing. And them cheese grater things they got on their head, them things are beautiful. These things got to be sold out. And I like it when coaches make it known. I went to the University of Florida. Don't talk to me about Georgia. I can't stand. Don't talk to me about Florida State. I can't stand them. And that's what makes the rivalry a real rivalry. Yes, we're going to do pleasantries after the game and shake hands. Yes, we're going to say, have a good game before the game. We don't mean none of that. We got to act like when players get hurt that we say, oh, he hurt. No, the goal is to knock him out. I don't want him back in the game. So, yeah, Coach Ben. But here's the thing about Ben Johnson, though. Yeah, you put it out there. You better find a way to have a winning record against them Green Bay Packers, because if you start losing to them, like a lot of those Chicago coaches have, they're going to go back to that same soundbite. But I respect it. He said he knew he couldn't take it back. Everything goes viral now. He couldn't take it back, but he might as well stand on business.
It's funny you mentioned Oregon and Oregon State. My dad's a University of Oregon guy, and he hated Oregon State with a blinding white-hot passion, Ben, the rivalry there. And you know what he used to say about Corvallis, where Oregon State is located, Ben? I asked him about Corvallis one time, and he actually said the following. He said, when you drive into Corvallis, you can smell it, and when you get out of your car, you step in it. That's how much he hated it.
You gotta love it though. Here's the thing about football in particular that's always great. The question we used to always ask people when I was on ESPN Radio, we would say, what would you rather have? Your team lose or the team you hate your team win or the team you hate and despise the most lose? You go, oh my God, I only get to pick one? And they always have to hesitate because you always want your team to win, but you want that team you hate to lose. It gives you a joy in your heart. Me being from Georgia, I want Georgia to lose everything. I want them to lose at badminton. I want them to lose at checkers, chess, everything. And when they lose, this state just goes crazy. I said, wait a minute. Only football makes us respect the guy. Y'all head coach name is Kirby. Man, get out of here, man. So I am with your father with that. And all I'm saying is, if you're looking for a Georgia Bulldog, just find the nearest Walmart, and they should be in the parking lot, camped out.
Well, Ben, I think we have our first disagreement. I like the Bears here against the Rams in the cold weather. So we agree on the Bills, and we agree on the Patriots, we agree on the 49ers, and we split up here. I like the Bears, and you like the Rams here. Let me ask you a question about that Rams win over the Panthers. I think the NFL needs to make a rule change for the postseason. I'm not against, if you win your division, Ben, fine. You qualify for the playoffs, even though you're not a good team. But why do the 8 and 9 Panthers get a home game against the 12 and 5 Rams? I think once the playoffs start, even if you win your division, the better record should get the home game.
I have no problem with that whatsoever. As long as you stick with, if you win your division, you get a chance to make it to the playoffs. I don't think the Panthers would have mind going on the road as long as they get to play. And Cam Newton was in the building. I mean, he came out. I mean, he's doing the Superman. He's hitting the drum they got there. Jonathan Stewart was down. Steve Smith. Craig Olsen was doing the game. Luke Kicker. They did everything to win the game. And it being the first playoff game of the weekend, it was one of the best. I mean, it took 4 quarters. You brought out the best in Matthew Stafford. I know there are no moral victories, but Carolina has come a long way. Bryce Young got to exercise some demons. Coach Canales get to say, hey, man, I think I know what I'm doing. They're going to have to get some weapons in the offseason, but I think that defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers is going to have to get a new place of residence. He's not going to be able to stay in Carolina because they lost the game because of prevent defense. How are you going to prevent Matthew Stafford from getting in the end zone? The answer is you can't, and you lost. Thank you. God bless. A good night. Make sure and tip your waitress. You can watch us next week while you at home.
Now, you talked about all the great Panthers. Cam was there doing the Superman thing and beating the drum, and all the old players were there. But where was Ric Flair? He lives in Charlotte, and he goes to all the Panthers games. And usually before a playoff game or a big game, he's standing out there at midfield with the mic, and he says, woo! See, I can't do it as loud as he does. Woo! When he talks about where was he? I missed him.
I don't know. You know what it is? Ric Flair, they probably called Ric Flair and said, listen, man, we need you to come because the Patriots they said the Panthers in the playoffs. He goes, what Panthers? He said the Carolina Panthers in the playoffs. He didn't believe him. Like, man, is this a prank? No. They really didn't play. So next year, he said, "Sorry, man. I thought y'all was pranking me. I saw it on TV. Hopefully, you guys make it to the playoffs again next year, and get a home game or wherever you guys are, and I can come celebrate." But no, it was a great atmosphere. I was happy for those fans. My son lives in Charlotte. He was telling me about the game. I mean, it was a great game. It's just, you just came up short. And that's the difference in good teams and great teams. Great teams find a way to make them plays. Good teams, they happy to be there, but they can't beat the great ones. Matthew Stafford is one of the great ones. I think he's put up one of his best seasons, maybe an MVP season. We'll see what happens when the football honors happen. But they asked Matthew Stafford about football honors. He said, if I am the MVP, I just hope I'm not there, which means I'm getting ready for the Super Bowl.
My daughter can do a spot-on Ric Flair impersonation. She gets that. I can't do woo. I can't. Can you do a high woo like a Ric Flair? Can you do it, Ben?
I can't. My voice is a little bit rare. I probably could back in the day. I know they do the woo and the two slaps and the woo. Ric Flair brand has gotten bigger since his days of wrestling have come to the end more than he ever did. I mean, look, Ric Flair, I'm pretty sure he got to have an energy drink sponsorship somewhere to be that him. Well, maybe he's on the same energy drink as Michael Irvin, even though I don't think Michael Irvin is using energy drinks. I don't know what he's using, but that's a lot of energy to be at the age of stage. But yeah, Ric Flair is still one of the best. Obviously, he'll go down to history. I don't know who's the greatest wrestler, but he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore.
Remember Ben, around 10 years ago, he was in the hospital hooked up to life support. They were giving him his last rites, and they brought in a priest, and now look at him. You can't kill him off. Now he's back there doing the woo again, and he had a wrestling match last year at 75.
The two people we need to know what they're really doing is Jerry Jones and Ric Flair. They're gonna be here forever. They're gonna live to be 160 and 70 years old, and 100 years from now, Ric Flair is still gonna be here doing wrestling matches, and Jerry Jones is still gonna be here saying this: we're gonna win the Super Bowl. It's not gonna happen, Jerry. As long as you are the general manager, the Dallas Cowboys will not win a Super Bowl.
How about, I don't know if you're familiar with the Rolling Stones or not, Ben, but Keith Richards, the guitar player, when you look at his face and the way he's lived, he's almost 80. It's an absolute miracle what he's done to himself that he's still alive. And there is, I guess drugs and alcohol and carousing and not getting any sleep might be good for you. Maybe we're going about it all wrong.
Didn't they say he don't eat no vegetables? Like, I don't eat no vegetables. And like I said, these guys are in their 70s and 80s. I mean, people talking about Lee Corso. I mean, he had to retire. He's like 90 years. What do you expect? He should get. I mean, dude, he's done it for like 60 years. So, hey, maybe we need to ask these guys what they're doing. We probably wouldn't be able to keep up with them. Listen, this is what I do. I said, well, dude, that's a lot of white powder on that, and I know that ain't powder on that freaking thing right there. So I don't know if I can do that because my nose is bleeding for what? It's not hot outside. Is it? So hey, I'm happy for him.
Maybe alcohol's a preservative. We've going about it all wrong. Maybe it kills disease, Ben. A lot of alcohol.
Oh, yeah. They don't even go see they tell the doctor, you don't even know what you're talking about. What's his name? Rogan. Those guys, they was taking all kind of stuff. Listen, whatever they eating and drinking, it's working. I mean, what does a 90-year-old go to a doctor and say, hello? What do you want? I am 90. I've outlived everybody, including the doctors that told me I got to switch up my diet. Nope, I'm going to drink it, I'm going to smoke it, and if I sniff it, I'm going to sniff it.
Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. They've been on steroids their entire life, and they're 80 years old and, still bench pressing 300 pounds. Maybe we need steroids. Maybe they're good for you, too.
It might. They just might. And here's the thing. It's not that if you get the right spokesman talking about it, you get LeBron or somebody, Tiger Woods, and talking about it, man, they're going to be like, hey, man, you going to forget you taking steroids? Like, well, LeBron doing something. I don't know what LeBron's doing, but it's working. People say LeBron gonna play basketball till his grandson play with him. Like he might play with LeBron James III. He might.
Hey, Ben, before we let you go here, we appreciate you hanging in there with us on Dave Smith Unleashed. The great Ben Troupe, the former Florida All-American and the National Football League tight end. So let's see, you've got the Bills, the Patriots, the 49ers, and the Rams. So who's going to the Super Bowl and who's going to win it?
I think that because the Buffalo Bills have found a way this year to not have to deal with the usual suspects of Lamar Jackson, of Patrick Mahomes, I think that Drake May, while he's really, really good, I think the last thing he want to do is have to deal with Buffalo. I think the second time they played them was more of a barometer how he's going to play. So I got Buffalo going, for the AFC side. On the NFC side, I got your 49ers, man. I think the 49ers get back. And here's the thing. I don't know who's going to win that one because I think that Fred Warner going to find a way. See, they're going to play long enough for him to get healthy to play in the game that matters the most. I think it's going to be a game for the ages. I think that Brock Purdy says, look, y'all, I lost against Patrick Mahomes twice. Most people will. Patrick Mahomes is a former regular season MVP. I want to go up against another league MVP, and I want to go up against a guy. I want to go up against a guy who everybody wanted and nobody wanted. I'm the last player that was in there. I'm still here. I think the 49ers, because people said they had, quote, the easiest schedule. I don't like that easy stuff. It don't matter how easy the schedule was. We made it harder because all our guys was essentially got hurt. I think your 49ers make it back to the Super Bowl 3 times the charm. We'll see it 3 times is the charm. And here's the thing about Super Bowls. It's not who you play. It's how you play when you play them. And I think the 49ers are going to be battle tested. And I think, look, at that point, they can play and beat anybody. So I got the Bills and the 49ers in this year's Super Duper.
Well, I love that. I love my San Francisco 49ers getting back to the Super Bowl. You know, preseason I had the Rams and the Ravens, Ben, so Ravens didn't even make the playoffs, unfortunately. So, but at least the Rams are still alive.
Yeah. And the Rams still got their coach and the Ravens don't. So, you know.
Ben, fantastic stuff as always. We appreciate you hanging in there with us. You're always a great guest, and we love talking National Football League. Hopefully we can do this again as the playoffs roll along.
Hey, Dave, listen, anytime you need me, man, you have definitely helped me grow so much in my career. I just enjoy coming on with you, man. Listen, man, we like Stockton Malone. I mean, I'm Malone, you Stockton, you just throw it up, man. I'm just trying to score that thing.
And by the way, how's your mother? I know your mom is a big fan of mine. How's she doing?
Mom is doing well. When I let her know, when I said, Mom, I went from on the radio to podcast, she gonna say, Dave, that's you always podcast? I'm like, yes, he ain't letting you on there, but he did let me on there, and we had fun. Had a lot of fun.
Great stuff, as always, the great Ben Troupe. Thanks again for coming on.
Appreciate it, Dave.
This is Dave Smith and Dave Smith Unleashed. Make sure you follow us on our YouTube page at the Dave Smith Unleashed Podcast, and follow us on Twitter as well at Dave Sports God. And we're always talking about when the great guests like Ben Troupe are coming on, what day and what time. So we'll talk to you next time right here on Dave Smith Unleashed.